Hey Yagaho, welcome to week 2 of the GBA. This week we're going to be taking on the Milwaukee Sawsbucks, coached by Magnitude. Played him once last year in a crossover game when he was in the Kanto Conference, and we were narrowly able to eke out that victory with Proto Man, Gallade being forsaken 3 times and still coming up huge for us. And this season we're going to be opening the conference play against him as he's now in the Johto Conference in the opposite division. So let's go ahead and look at what he is bringing, and you'll notice that this is on verse record because I forgot to click record on the live record until about 2/3 of the way through the game, so it's gonna switch over at some point. But verse record for now. Anyway, we see Landorus, Mandibuzz, Gyarados, Greninja, Gallade, and Meloetta, Mega Gallade specifically. So not appearing, we have Metagross, Cresselia, which I'm rather glad to not see, Victini, which I'm also rather glad to not see, and Klefki, which I guess Zapdos is a pretty good switch into Klefki, so that's one of the main reasons I brought Zapdos. Also not appearing is the 11th Pokemon, but Steve basically just has 10 Pokemon right now until free agency kicks in, which will, the first week those will be eligible to be used, will be week 5. Anyway, so looking at what we have here, well, they're in the wrong order on the verse record screen. I put them in the order of contract length whenever they're in the party and whatnot. But anyway, so first off we have Hydreigon. I decided to go Scarf Hydreigon this week, kind of just Boggo standard Hydreigon, Dragon Pulse, and Draco Meteor. I thought about Fire move or Ground move for Klefki. That I decided, I'm just going to switch out of Klefki anyway, so I just decided to go Double Step, just in case Dragon Pulse happened to be useful later, like for a late game sweep where Dark Pulse wouldn't get it done and Meteor would also not be able to get it done. That was probably the last minute change I made, but anyway, outspeeds pretty much everything on the team if it's not Scarfed. It's also timid, I believe, so I can also outspeed a Scarf Landorus if that's what he brought. I thought about bringing Hidden Power Ice to deal with Landorus, but I thought he's got several things that just resist Ice, and that's just going to be pretty bad. HP Ice is, of course, a low base power move. It's not hitting 4 times effective, and I'm going to be locked into it, so whatever. Also bringing Donphan this week. We're going totally the other way. Instead of being basically a revenge, take a hit, go down to sturdy, and then Endeavor Ice Shard somebody. This one's going to be pretty maximally bulky impish with rocks and spin. Earthquake, even though he's got a lot of things immune to ground. He's got Klefki, which is weak to it, Metagross, which is weak to it, Victini, which I believe this thing can take 2 V-Creates, and possibly not banded V-Creates. I don't have the calc memorized in my head anymore. But anyway, also has, Knockoff, which Steve's got a lot of Dark Weak guys, so that's really good. Zapdos is predominantly bulky with some speed to outspeed Jolly Metagross, which will also outspeed Adamant Gyarados if he opts for that route. And then just kind of the standard 3 attacks. Went T-Bolt over Discharge, Heat Wave, and HP Ice for aforementioned Landorus, which is another reason I decided not to go HP Ice on Hydreigon, is because I had other sources of Ice, including on Suicune. Scald Ice Beam, of course, as usual, and then I wanted to put Roar on there just in case we got set up on, and Toxic just because it's a 4th move. Let's throw Toxic on there, sure. Whimsicott was brought also. Moonblast I figured would be the only attack I really need. It's one of my 2 things that can outspeed Mega Gallade and can do a fairly good amount of damage to it, since it does not gain any special bulk when it Mega Evolves. It has, pretty decent special bulk anyway, but, Stab, super effective, Fairy is pretty good. Then I know I wanted to run Stun Spore, as I don't outspeed Greninja, and, I also don't outspeed Scarf Landorus, so, you can't T-Wave Scarf Landorus, but you can Stun Spore it, so I wanted to bring Stun Spore and not really make up for not bringing Stun Spore last week like I should have. As I mentioned in comments somewhere, never wrote it down, thought about it, made a note, hey, I should bring Stun Spore, and then didn't write it down, and I brought Encore instead, because I thought Encore's cool, I'll bring that instead. Then I had 2 open move slots, and I didn't need a grass move for whatever reason, so I decided, because nothing on it seems weak to grass, I think, right? Well, I don't count Greninja as being weak to grass. So I was like, 2 open slots, let's throw Subseed on there, so that's what we did. And Mega Lopunny making its debut this week. Jolly, of course, so we can definitely outspeed a non-Scarf Greninja. Fake Out just for, extra priority stuff, make sure we can pick up some KOs that I'm just going to fall just short from. Otherwise, high jump kick. Yeah, I mean, I guess we could alternate with low kick or drain punch or something, but you know, this title of this season, if I didn't already mention it, is going to be called the Head Smash Adventure. And the subtitle will be "and the High Jump Kick Experience." I think that's going to be the subtitle for this season. So, for the last slot, I'll also, of course, return on there. Debated between Ice Punch for Lando T and T-Punch for Gyarados. In the end, I decided to go Ice Punch, I guess just because I felt pretty confident that I could switch Zapdos into Gyarados pretty handily, unless he had, you know, some nice big stone edges to hit me with. But I guess that, let's see, is there anything else not brought that I wanted to cover? Not especially. Like I think I threw out earlier, I was really glad I didn't bring Cress. That would be a pretty easy switch into Mega Lopunny. And I don't have a fantastic switch into Cress, especially if it's got Ice Beam, since, you know, that's my first, actually, goodness, yeah, I brought 4 things weak to Ice, so Cress with Ice Beam would have been kind of vexing. Probably my best bet would have been to get it Toxic with Suicune, but then he goes into something else to take a Toxic instead, and it's not good. So anyway, let's go and get the battle underway. Alright, so as you may know, I don't really do leads. I just kind of pick a dude and throw it out there ever since 4th gen. So my lead for this game was just going to be, what's the thing that can definitely take one hit and not get forced out by anything I saw on that team? And the answer to that was Suicune. So he's going to come out here, he's going to throw Toxic at somebody, hopefully. He didn't bring a Steel type, so we're just going to throw Toxic at Meloetta. I quickly check it and make sure, yeah, it's got pretty good special defense, so Skull's not really going to do anything. I did think about Skull just in case he brought the Pirouette form, as he did last week, but decided Toxic probably going to be better. I see Calm Mind, and yeah, Toxic is definitely something I want to pick up on a Calm Minder. You know, Meloetta has decent speed. I actually assumed it was going to have base 100 speed until I checked and was like, oh, it's only base 90, okay. We can outspeed that with Hydreigon, Scarf Hydreigon and whatnot. Plus 1 Hyper Voice hurts a good bit, and I'm just going to go ahead and roar this thing out and see what gets dragged in, get that Calm Mind out of the way. Got it poisoned, so, you know, that's good. Brings in Subtle Kaiba to throw down a couple Blue Eyes, White Dragons. We got a... What color are Hydreigon's eyes? They're like, I don't know, they're red. Hydreigon's more like the Red Eyes Black Dragon, so... if there is no Joy Wheeler in this battle, it's going to become Mega. Throw that cape back, throw out the Dual Disc, and lay down some trap cards, and see what he can do. I'm just going to be content to stay in and click Scald. I don't really want to switch anything in at the present moment. I need to get a little bit of damage on there, and then I'm not super threatened. I'm not going to get swept by it at any rate, as we're going to have, of course, you know, Mega Lopunny can then outspeed it and do round about 70-ish% depending on his bulk with return. Likewise, Whimsicott can do roughly the same, I think, with a Moonblast. So I get him down to where I want it to be, and then I'm almost fine with him killing him with close combat here. Then again, he'd probably also switch out right immediately after that. But he actually Drain Punches, so he gets HP back, but now we're going to be able to hit him with Scald and see how much it does. And it does round about 25%, so I probably got... Actually, that barely even looks like it's 25%. That looks like less than 25%. So I probably got lucky on that sub. He probably could have kept subbing and potentially had enough to do that. Psycho Cut does not kill me somehow. Living on, what was it, 15, and get off another Scald, and thankfully that burns, and that's pretty huge threat out of the way. So yeah, we live on 15. Suicune's basically death fodder at this point. But it's a Burn Mega Gallade. There's no reason to, you know, sack this off as Death Fodder to a Burn Mega Gallade. Not when I can go ahead and go into Whimsicott. I make sure Psycho Cut's not going to do crazy damage. If he does go for that, he'll of course just go for Drain Punch to get a little bit of HP back, which is what he does. I believe I only saw 3 of the moves, so I didn't see the 3rd move. Throw in a nice Ice Punch out there, which probably would have killed anyway. Maybe not with the Burn. That might actually been risky with the Burn, but turns out I think he said his last move was Swords Dance, so just get Whimsicott in for free, and I can either, you know, try to play some shenanigans, or just go ahead and kill off with Moonblast, and I just really don't think he's going to save it, so I'm just going to go ahead and save myself the trouble, not waste my time setting up a sub, and just finish it off with Moonblast. It's a Burn Mega Gallade, it's probably not really going to be able to do much of anything else, and yeah, I take the Mega down pretty early, and that's already pretty good. I've got some Death Fodder in the back pocket for later, which he does have a Greninja, and I need, you know, I might need Death Fodder in order to switch in Megalop or Hydreigon later on. So Meloetta comes back in. I could seed it up, but I kind of want to keep Whimsicott hanging around for right now, and I'm just going to go ahead and drop in Hydreigon, which can outspeed, and of course has, you know, Dark Pulse or U-Turn to hit on the physical side for a little bit more, and Hyper Voice gets a crit and does quite a bit of damage. Yeah, it is of course Stab. Not Pixelate, of course, so we don't get deaded over 10 by it. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and U-turn out here, as looks like he's gonna preserve it. Go ahead and go into Gyara to get an Intimidate off, and yeah, I just decided to U-turn for A, initiative, B, it's super effective anyway. I'm actually not sure what I would have went into on the U-turn now that I think about it. Take a Hyper Voice. Didn't really have anything else that really wanted to take a Hyper Voice. But anyway, I do have a Zapdos that wants to switch into a Gyarados for definite, and here, this, you know, he's not going to sacrifice the Gyara, not from full. I see lefties, so you know, as much as I would kind of like to make a safe play, I figure HP Ice is going to be fine. You know, I'm not choiced or anything. If I get it wrong, then I can switch moves next turn. And thankfully, Lando does come in, and thankfully I do click HP Ice. You know, fairly basic HP Ice versus T-Bolt prediction there, and yeah, just I don't really think that was a risky prediction at all, and it turns out to pay off all right. So HP Ice does exactly the amount it was really supposed to do. I threw enough special attack in there to KO Landorus with HP Ice after Rocks if it wasn't, you know, especially bulky anyway. Turns out I believe this was a Scarf Landorus. Would have been outspeeding anyway, even if it wasn't Scarfed. But thanks to getting that prediction right on the HP Ice, I suppose also Heat Wave. I did consider Heat Wave as a sort of a, you know, middle ground play, but I actually think HP Ice would have done. HP Ice would have done more to Gyara anyway. So. Don't even know why that crossed my mind, but anyway, Lando gets through it KO'd, Falzer's still kicking around and can be switched into Mandibuzz to be roosted up on, and that's all well and good. So, yeah, I got Lando out of the way, which, again, was Scarfed. I didn't get to necessarily find that out in the match, but turns out it was. So, Greninja comes in, as I said earlier. Here's the time where I want to use my Death Fodder, not on a burned Gallade. And, yeah, this is exactly why I kept Suicune alive. He's going to die to anything, but, yeah, he's going to provide me with a nice free switch into either Mega Lopunny or Scarf Hydreigon. Since he's Ice type, he's not going to be weak to U-turn. At present, he will be if he's, you know, in and hasn't used a move yet. So we're going to go into Mega Lopunny, which I'm certain can definitely take him out with the combination of, well, definitely with a high jump kick currently. Well, not currently, because I have to Mega first, and get my speed up. We're going to go ahead and go for Fake Out here just to make sure we get, you know, the speed up and get the flinch if he did decide to stay in for some reason. Of course, going to go into Mandibuzz to take this hit, and we're going to see how much this does. It's probably not going to do very much because Mandibuzz is a super bulky 5th gen bird that doesn't do, does around about 10 or so %. We see Rocky Helmet, which I was kind of thinking it might be. I'm actually almost glad it's Rocky Helmet just because it's going to set stuff up better for later, and I'm not overly concerned with passive damage on Mega Lopunny. So, I think he said this is actually max attack Mandibuzz here. I might have heard that wrong in his pregame video that he uploaded yesterday. But Zapdos, of course, is going to take that pretty well, and unless it's for some reason max speed, it's not going to be able to get off a foul play before I'm pretty sure Mandibuzz is like 80 something base speed. It would have to be like timid too, I think. So, anyway, we're going to get a roost off here, or are we? Actually, no, we're not, because based on the HP that Zapdos is at, I'd rather either A, kill the Mandibuzz, or B, just get a nice hit off on something coming in, which ends up to be Meloetta. I didn't really feel like roosting there was going to necessarily get me out of KO range of anything else. So, you know, let's just go ahead and get as much damage out there as possible. I felt like that was going to be the best play to make with Zapdos, and I think it definitely was. So now we switch back to live record, so now the stuff is moving along really fast, and we instead have wait time. So this is back what we're used to on this channel anyway. So yeah, gonna go and switch out because I still want that switch into Mandibuzz, and this Meloetta is doing mad damage, so you know, I think at this point I can probably forego Rocks. I didn't bring Ice Shard to deal a little bit of extra damage, which probably would have killed Meloetta in conjunction with Toxic if I had it, but whatever, you know, the threat of Crest was there, so I, you know, wanted to make sure we brought some source of knockoff on the team, which was Non-fan. So anyway, now Meloetta's really low. I got 3 things that outspeed it, and we can go into any of those things. He doesn't have rock set up, so it's pretty much just whichever one I want to hang around with. And yeah, we still got, what, 4 guys left? Yeah, and Zapdos. Zapdos is going to die on whatever, but it can still be switching to Mandibuzz and, you know, threaten with T-Bolts or whatever. So just decided to go into Megalop. And there's no need to fake out this turn. I'm just going to go... I can either go for high jump kick or return. Either will kill. Return, of course, is not going to miss. But if he goes into Mandibuzz, then I'm pretty sure with that prior fake out damage, that especially with no lefties gain, he had Rocky Helmet, I'm pretty sure that 2 high jump kicks will be able to KO it. I'm not sure if the combination of return and high jump kick will be able to. So here's high jump kick. It lands, and that does... I would say that's over half. So yeah. 2 high jump kicks would definitely KO it. This is actually Jolly too, so good grief. I guess it's not max... I think it's max HP. What do you say? Max HP, max attack? So I guess it's not completely defensive, which explains a little bit of extra damage. So yeah, I think that is low enough that I'm going to be able to go for return. So that is what I go for on this turn.
Let me do it! Ready to go! Ha!
Switches in Gyara, and then that happens. Yep, well done, Chie. Anyway, so that crit was pretty huge. That's a bulky Gyara coming in, intimidating me, and probably forcing me to switch out. And now instead, it's got 10% HP left, and is, yeah, pretty crippled. And now I'm just gonna kill him. So I was kind of kicking myself. Obviously, it's at one point for not having T-Punch instead of having Ice Punch, but that crit definitely made up for it. So anyway, I just sacks off Meloetta. And then Gyarados comes back in for double Intimidate. I would really rather not... I mean, I could obviously take the Gyarados... Well, it's probably going to switch out. You know, I could take the tempting Gyara kill now, but, you know, it's a bulky Gyara. It has no way to instantly recover HP. Zapdos isn't really threatened by it, so let's just go ahead and go into Zapdos. Why not? Zapdos, however, does not live Waterfall. But we do erase the the double Intimidate on there, which was the main goal of that. So, well done, Dose, and we can drop in again any of the 3 guys we got left. We got some mad speed. We got a 135, 116, and a scarfed Hydreigon. So we should have the speed advantage here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and drop in this guy, and he resists Waterfall, which is the only move I've had revealed, and he's at full life if there's some other kind of trick he wants to throw out there. So, for whatever reason, I decide to, let's see if we can kill him with Subseed. And, I'm not really sure why I decided to do this, because, depending on, well, I don't know. I guess the thought was that maybe Waterfall won't break a sub, but, clearly Waterfall is going to break a sub. So, I think that was a crit, though. So, I believe I go ahead and sub one more time, just to see if it'll break a sub. And then if it does break the sub, then I'm just going to go ahead and save myself the trouble, and I think Moonblast it, except I think Leech Seed is going to get the kill anyway. So, yeah. I believe at this point I go ahead and actually sub again, just on the off chance it was a damage roll. And I guess just to let Leech Seed get a kill. At this point it's, what he's got Greninja and Mandibuzz left, and I don't really think I'm going to be able to take a hit from either of those, as we've seen Brave Bird, so he's not limited to just foul play. But anyway, gonna go ahead and let Leech Seed get the KO. Again, just on the off chance it was a damage roll. You know, the only actual hit I took was a crit, so I guess I could have, you know, divided and figured out how much it was going to do based on that, but whatever, didn't really want to do that, so whatever. This thing comes in, and I have Moonblast, so yeah, it's not Scarf, we already saw Rocky Helmet, so I'm just going to click Moonblast and kill it, so cool. Just a dead thing that, yeah, it was already, I mean, it's low on hit points, you know, whatever, it wasn't really long for the world anyway. So anyway, down to Greninja, and I'm just going to throw out a Prankster Stun Spore here. I thought about Leech Seed just for, you know, making sure we got a little bit of residual damage on there. At this point, I still didn't know the item, so just in case it was Scarfed Greninja, I decided to go Stun Spore. And indeed, we get a Stun Spore off, and just to rub salt in the wound, he gets full parried, so unlike Stance Change, Protean doesn't get to activate, so he's still Water Dark type, and because he's now paralyzed and can't kill me with Ice Beam, I just one-shot him with super effective Moonblast. So Whimsicott, comes in big, gets 4 kills in this game, and we were able to, for the first time, get up to a positive differential in the history of the team. So yeah, that was a good game, Steve. I just kind of got the upper hand on several of the predictions, and then the hacks didn't go his way. Most notably, of course, with the crit on Gyarados, which certainly would have made me change several plays. Probably would have had to go into something else, sack something else, and then I wouldn't have had something else to sack for later. So definitely would have affected differential, I think. Probably something else would have had to die. Hydreigon was pretty low, so it might have well been him. But anyway, so standings update. So I guess this will be a spoiler for the rest of the Johto conference game. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then mute your speakers for the next 20 seconds or so. Everyone else in the conference lost, so that actually moves me to the top of the Silver Division, 1-1 plus 2, with Adam the Mighty Ducklets behind at 1-1, and I believe even, and then the other two at 0-2. So yeah, NFC South is in full effect. Not just kidding. Anyway. Some other interesting stuff will probably be happening in our division, but you'll have to stay tuned to the main GBA channel to find out what will be going on with that. With that said, let's go ahead and get into Pokemon of the game. For my side, which, it would be easy to say, look at Whimsicott, who got 4 kills this week, by the way. Hopefully I'm going to see him on at least in the top 10 in the MVP race. But Pokemon of the game is actually going to go to Mega Lopunny. Only got the 1 KO. But easily could have gotten more if not for that last turn with getting lucky with the Stun Spore. Would have had to call in Megalop to finish it off. Alternately, when I dropped in Whimsicott to go for Stun Spore, I could have dropped in Lopunny then. And I think it ended up to work out better though, because then there would have been options to switch out, Intimidate, and all that bad stuff. Anyway, yeah, as you see the bullet points there. It's just, in general, the biggest source of offensive pressure. I believe outsped into it, KO'd pretty much everything on the team, including Mandibuzz, at least after Landorus T was gone. I did have Ice Punch for that. I would have had to calc it and see if I could live a Scarf EQ. I did have Ice Punch, of course. But yeah, I think the biggest play was definitely that clutch crit through Intimidate. If that didn't win me the game, I might have still won without it. Probably so. I don't know. You guys can think about that in the comments. But it definitely would have made some different plays and at least given him more of a chance to come back. And instead, it gave him no chance to come back after that. And then also Mandibuzz. I remember he said in his pregame speech he wanted to use Mandibuzz as a check for Mega Lopunny, which that's true. It would have been a check. Nice voice crack there, by the way. But unfortunately, he had to switch it in to take a hit at one point, and high jump kick. As it ended up it looked like a 2-hit KO, even if I didn't have that prior fake out damage on there. Of course, as it was, I was able to go for return instead. But yeah, being forced to switch in Mandibuzz kind of ruined it as a actual check with Brave Bird and all that stuff. So anyway, that's it for this game. Go ahead and look into the next week, and it's a pretty familiar opponent. We played him twice last season. He was a Johto Conference rival we got to play twice. And we finally got a home game, so I get to use the other logo here, yay. And that is Tom the Sharpedos. Had a weird week 1 where it was a timeout against Fizzy Stardust. It was, I believe, like a 3-2, something like that. So, and then, again, spoilers, but it's on the screen, so whatever. Won pretty big this week over Numb Nexus. So got back up to +4. So, yeah, we are, again, spoilers, we are the actual division leaders. The leaders of the gold and silver divisions currently clashing in next week's game. So, yeah. Hope you guys will look forward to that. We're pretty familiar with each other's teams. We even, traded Ferrothorn and Hitmontop in the offseason. So, should be a good game. One of us is going to come out probably staying on top of our division, and the other is, potentially going to get usurped by one of the other teams. So, should be interesting. More gold versus silver and red versus blue going on next week in the GBA. So make sure you guys stay tuned for week 3. Definitely stay tuned for the main GBA channel for important announcements coming up this week. And see you guys for the next one back in Salt Lake. Later days.